Welcome to episode number 28 of the AidStation Podcast.
26.
It's not 26, dickheads.
You wrote 26.
I wrote 26, but I'm saying 28.
You can't call us dickheads when you wrote 26.
It's there on the document in front of us.
I just told you what a week I've had.
It's only Monday.
And you guys, and look at that, it says 27 on there.
Oh,
so
look.
yes, I reserve the right. I did get it wrong in the outline.
You reserved the right to confess that you got it wrong.
Okay. Buddies, it's been a long time. It's been
We're
a
all
week.
in one place, sort of, remotely one place.
Ali, where are you?
I'm in Australia,
Whereabouts in Australia?
Coogee Beach, Sydney, Australia, in a rustic apartment.
Is that the one just south of Bondi?
Yes.
Right, so it's been a while. But
Yeah.
yeah. There's a
You were
nice
just in Sydney.
there's a nice run there.
Yeah, Bondi.
Between Bondi and it's
Yeah.
quite a you'd be having to go quite quick to get some Strava crowns on that one.
I'm not going to
She's
try.
a popular
Nice.
one.
Yeah.
They go pretty hard on the Insular Peninsula. But
I was in Brisbane, not Sydney, Matt, but that's okay.
where does Stephen Redfern live?
He lives in Sydney.
And were you in Stephen Redfern's house?
Well, yeah, but like that was November. That's
Prosecution rest.
That's so long ago.
We're going to talk about grassroots races, and quickly, because Ali has got to go, and this is especially chaotic because we're a little bit excited, a little bit rushing, a little bit tired. But look, I got out this weekend at Riverhead Backyard ultramarathon Relaps, or some combination of those terms. It's the original OG Backyard ultramarathon in Aotearoa, and got some
Is.
cool content. Spoke to Shaun Collins, who is the race organizer and OG, about the history of the race, what they're doing, the event going forward, the scene. It was really cool. We spoke to Helen, Waterworth, and Chris Newsome from His&Hers events, and they had a huge announcement, which I'll let them spill those beans. And then I spoke to Meg Collins and Alex MacDonald, who are both young women in the backyard scene, both kind of making a name for themselves in very different ways. But it was a cool time. But first, Ali, you had a question.
So I went to Kunyani Mountain Run, which was just fabulous, really hearty. And I was driving out of the car park from the event, just thinking about, grassroots events and what they bring to running, and thinking, it's interesting kind of comparing them and the big showcase ones. Yeah. And I thought, that'd be really interesting to discuss.
Where was this event?
Kunyani is in Hobart, Tasmania.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Used to be known as Mount Wellington. I guess
I think it still is,
Oh,
but
I
they
see.
kind of split it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like when they did Taranaki Egmont for a while and then eventually dropped the Egmont.
probably like that. Yeah.
It'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool. So did anyone have to run up to the top?
Oh, golly. Yes, there was a lot of people running up to the top, but not fully the top. Interestingly, you know how in Māori culture, the summit of the mountain is sacred. The same is with the Palawa people of Hobart. And so they said on their website that they basically don't do the full summit. They'll go right near the very top where you get like an epic view and you're still alpine, but they don't fully summit out of respect, which I thought was quite cool and quite interesting that, yeah.
Can't you drive to the top?
You can.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Interesting double standard going on there, but we'll just leave that for another day.
There's kind of like a little
sacred
bit more.
four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
The sacred four-wheel drive.
There used to be this thing, I'm not sure if it is still a thing, Hanny Alexander's running store, and if you ran from Hobart to the top of Kunyani and back down and you shared your Strava profile, they'd give you a patch that you could sew onto your gear. It's super sick. My friend's brother, Nick, designed it, and it had a Tasmanian plant on it. It was so cool. It was so like,
Man,
talk about grassroots. You know,
maybe
you
we'll
just
have to start doing that for Mount Eden, Get your mungafau patch.
That's right. Absolutely. What do you reckon, grassroots events, Andrew? How do you think of?
Well, obviously, just coming off the back of what I definitely would consider a grassroots event, And I had a really interesting chat with Terry about that before the race. Of course, I didn't record it because I'm not a professional, but
you did have other things on your mind.
Yeah, it's tricky when you're trying to run it. You do forget about the microphones. But, you know, I'm always torn, right, because I sort of look at what Terry's done and the character that a race like Northburn has. You know, for the most part, I'm of the opinion, don't change anything, please, you know, because there's a magic there that is captured by the spontaneity almost, it feels, of everything that goes on. It's almost like everything is happening in real time. And reacting to things that happen in real time during the weekend, and everyone pitches in, everyone helps out because we all want the same thing, and you end up with a really successful event. In saying that, there are minor frustrations, I suppose, in an event that is like that that the big events don't have. Obviously, tracking being a big one.
I have to say, Northburn tracking, I'm sorry, Terry, I love you, but trying to track an athlete at Northburn is very challenging.
Yeah, I mean, the course doesn't help because, of course, you're repeating certain sections and not some certain other sections. So even if you had an amazing map with a real-time tracker and following, you'd still be like, I'm not really sure where they are and what they're doing. It'd have to be done to an incredibly high level for it to make sense for people who don't know the course.
Right.
So he's always got that as a challenge, but this year it was all about using your phone and downloading an app, and and I was sort of like, man, that's just going to kill my phone. My phone's never going to make it, and the last thing I want is to be up there in the middle of the night with a dead phone. So I just turned my phone on flight mode for the entire race, and nobody knows where I am. I turned it on to give my helpful crew, Glenn Kelly, let him know when I was 10 kilometres and out, because it's getting late at the end of loop 2, but that was the only time I used it. So the lack of real-time information for anyone who wants to follow along with a lot of grassroots events is definitely an issue, and everything has a cost. So I can see why that's a bit of a problem. Also, course marking, things like that. I mean, I went and snuck a couple of laps of Relaps on Sunday morning, and I just enjoyed the course marking so much because it was so good, compared to halfway up the mountain in Northburn going, I've done this race so many times, but I'm still not sure where to go, and I can't see a ribbon or a tag because it's blown off or blown over, or it's a small tag, and it's a huge course. So there's a lot of areas where you're just not sure which way to go, and some of that can be a bit frustrating too. And of course, the aid stations are pretty simple. I didn't really mind. I'm pretty self-sufficient, but I think if you're after that full service, all the food, all that sort of carry on, you're not going to find that at most grassroots races. But of course, I want that sometimes. I mean, a lot of people want that. They don't want the handheld. They want it to be a little bit gnarly, a little bit, you're out there in the elements. It's just you and the terrain and that sort of stuff. And they don't want all the frills. So I guess for the most part, long live the no frills grassroots race.
See, I'm going to counter that, Andrew, because I totally agree and I know exactly where you're coming from. But I think that comes with more experience. So when you're wanting to, like that first kind of time that you're really pushing your boundaries, a lot of people want the safety scaffolds that are provided by those. Generally, the larger scale events do it better. Like they'll have that really great timing system. They'll have the frequent aid stations. You know how, like, I've done races where there might be 15, 20 Ks between an aid station. You've got to carry a lot, and it's quite remote, and that's quite daunting for people. So having those frequent aid stations, having that safety scaffold, knowing that there's, like comprehensive medical teams there to check on you, yes. That sort of thing can be really appealing for people when it's there, when they're newer to the sport.
Yeah, and I suppose it depends on your personality, is how confident you feel being out there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not anti the big races. They have their place. There's something about, obviously, Tarawera is the foremost sort of consideration here. It has to be run the way it's run. There's just too many people for it to be run anything less than the way it's run. Yeah. And they do, as far as I can tell, a great job. It's a lot to handle in a weekend, and it's grown at an amazing rate. So it needs all that support, and it needs that sort of stuff. I think I mean, you've still got to do the job. You've still got to run 160K if you're doing the miler. And I find Tarawera 100 miler just as challenging as any other race. You've still got to do all the work. The aid
Just as
stations
challenging as Northburn?
Yeah, it is.
Really?
The reason, it is because you get to walk so much more in Northburn. If you're trying, if you're remotely competitive, you've got to run huge amounts of Tarawera, so much. I actually get sick of running. You can actually run every single square inch of that course, right? If you're right at the front, and that's a lot of pressure. It's bloody hard to run 160 Ks nonstop. That hurts a lot. Whereas Northburn, you're mixing it up all the time. You go, oh, huge hill, I can walk this, and I know that I'm not going to lose time, placings, whatever. It doesn't matter. So you get to mix it up a heck of a lot more. So they are both very challenging, in their own way. But having just done both, I would say they were equally as hard. Yes.
Wu-Tang Clan said, protect your neck. That's it, say. Protect your lips. Look, it's race season, it's hot, and we understand the crushing pressure of the unmentionable parts of your body. Having poorly lubed feet, for instance, can really screw up a good day on the trails. But what about your lips? They're out in the sun for ages, and they can get nasty, dry, cracked, and sunburned. You might think you're hardcore, but your lips are not. That's where That's It. Natural skin protection from New Zealand comes in. Prevent drying and cracked lips all year round and heal any damage already done with That's It Manuka Oil Infused Balm. SPF 30 plus with 100% high-grade New Zealand Manuka oil. Their go-to lip balm and a handy pocket built in to protect and repair. Soothes, protects, made with shea butter and beeswax base. None of that nasty stuff. Head to that'sit.nz to check out this amazing lip balm and their range of natural skin protection. I use this lip balm and I love it. That's it.
Interesting. One of the things that I found this weekend, just going to Kunyani, I was saying to Matt, there's that really small community around the event where you see all the locals that are getting out and they're doing their local race, and you've got the people that, like there were these two families with young kids just sitting on the edge of the trail cheering runners along. And people really interested in you and you having a good time or getting to know you and finding out where you've come from and that sort of thing. And I was like, oh, wow, like it felt like a bit like Tarawera 8 years ago. And like obviously working at some of the big events, like I still try and reinforce that community aspect, because there are those people that show up year after year after year that you see, like I love that, make the event feel like what it is, because you see them each time. You're like, oh, it's UTA and there's good old Alf doing the 100K again, and he gets out his little piece of paper that says never give up. Like you've got those characters that surround the events that make them so special. And you can have both with the different sizes. But the Grassroots ones, obviously, it's got a bit more of a narrow kind of scope with it.
And let us not be nostalgic because we were there when loved Paul Charteris, loved Tim Day. Why did Tim Day got brought on board? Because Paul Charteris was collapsing like a dying star under the weight of that race.
Oh, they couldn't have sustained it. They couldn't have.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
And I think about people who, people who turn up at, Tarawera, for instance, it's the volunteers as well. Or I think about UTA, like someone running the 50K and then coming up to hand out medals. It's not because, they love, insert company X here. It's because they love the race, they love the community.
Yeah.
For myself, I ran a registered not-for-profit trail half marathon for 10 years. I was a race director for 10 years, and it's exactly like you say, Andrew. It happens in real time, and the process of actually, some stuff you really get good at very quickly, some stuff you really struggle with. It's like being in a band or anything. You just have to start. You just have to kind of and it's crazy. Like the people who, for our little race, we had this one family. They were called the Peglers, Andrew and Christina Pegler. Andrew never run a step in his life, I don't think. They turn up every year to Marshall. because they liked that all the money went to the school, and they went right through. They did every year for 10 years. They'd be out in that forest in rain, sleet, bloody whatever, happy as Larry. And people do. Do you know, it's a really cool thing. It's a really, it does sort of.
I'm still grumpy about that race, mate. Yeah, because of one year I got third and you decided to only give awards for first and second.
I've got a third. I have a third. Again,
hurts.
okay.
I've let it go though. I've totally let it go.
No, you
can tell.
clearly haven't. I've got a trophy you could have, actually, if you want. I've got some glasses left.
Maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
Can we do an awards ceremony?
I will. I'm going to drop to my knees.
I remember being third and going to Hellatown. I'm like, woohoo, got podium. And then you guys were like, okay, so this year we're just going to do first and second.
And so there's
no.
So there's a thing with that we couldn't afford.
I'm surprised I still talk to you.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you're just choosing to bring this up live on air. But we couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford that because prize giving's expensive.
I'm glad it went to the kids, mate. Went to the kids.
It did. We raised over $100,000 for the school.
That
over
is
10
amazing.
years.
Wow.
And yeah, it was.
And you haven't had timing chips, eh?
You
did you?
Yeah, we did at the end.
I feel like you did, eh?
Yeah, we did at the end. The first
you hear
year
that,
was
Terry? Timing chips.
Yeah, hectic. But we're destination soft Auckland runners. It's only a half marathon. We're not hard Cromwell people. But I think of it like also, I think I'm bang alongside you. Doing the skedaddle last year for the first time, that race was perfect. It was so hard, and it's a marathon. And I just thought, don't F this up, guys. Don't put an ultramarathon. Don't cave to temptation. Just keep this as it is, because it'll get a name for itself. It's this marathon that feels like an ultramarathon, and people just go and just smash themselves on it. But yeah, it's like eating. It's like saving to go out to a nice restaurant, I think, too. Like you eat how you eat most of the time, and sometimes you want to either go to a nice restaurant or you want to go to a nice show if you like going to shows, or a concert if you like going to a concert or something. And it's the same with running events, like it's okay to like both. Yeah,
although keep in mind we lost some races in the past 12 to 18 months that were arguably grass race. If I was organised, I would have written down what they were, but I remember the South Island lost a bunch. That's where we find ourselves in that fine line between, can you keep enough people in your field to keep it a event that can continue on? Because the other choice is you grow it, you advertise, you try and make it a really big deal. If that's successful, well, now it's a beast that's out of your control. It's very hard to strike that balance, I imagine, as a race director. I would never want to be a race director.
It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool job. Races have shelf lives too, man. Well, that's the thing with, and you think about like Paul Charteris. He's out. He's had kids, and do you know, like he moved on. People move on. People's lives change. You're not that same person. And as glorious as it was, like doing RivRam for 10 years, did I miss a wink of sleep that this March I wasn't like on this kind of death spiral to the end of that? No, I did not.
Is it not happening this year at all?
No. R.I.P. RivRam.
Oh, well done. Okay.
Yeah. I've been friends with Tom and Al, who were the UTA founders, and with Paul and Tim. I can confidently say that both of them, it was not a sustainable thing to continue. We had, with UTA, there was a really small team that would have all these sleepless nights to try and put this event on and just work all the hours in the day. And I remember saying to Kylie at one stage before they sold Tarawera, looking at Tim, and he was white and puffy and just stressed out. And I was like, this is not sustainable. He doesn't look well. And she was like, I know, he's not. He's not been sleeping. He's working so hard. And it's really hard to kind of, when events get to that bigger scale with a small team putting it on, it's tricky. So it's good to see that they live on, and they still can be the fun reunion that we get each year. But it's tough race directing. Hey, and I think anybody that criticizes races in big ways, please go and volunteer your services at a race. Yeah, and learn what goes on into putting one on, because it's huge.
I'm not going to name names, but I heard some controversy from the Relaps race, which I'll just leave hanging in the air.
No, spill the tea. Let's go. No one listens to this.
No one listens.
Some anonymous runner might have got to the end and absolutely screamed at the RD about how dare the course be so ropey. I don't know this person. I have no personal connection, but all I heard through a third party was that it was totally uncalled for and out of control. And you do wonder what's going on in people's heads.
Well, I think this is the thing, and let's be charitable, and perhaps if it's that same runner that may or may not have done that, allegedly they were lucky they got out of the corral at one point, because there's the tail of the comet, and then there's like the space dust that follows behind. So attention to detail is all I'll say.
Don't yell at the RDs unless they really, really deserve
but
it,
people
which
get,
is very rare.
People get really, really people get invested in stuff, eh? And I remember one year I got in so much trouble because they logged the forest and they changed all the courses and stuff. And so my 21K was closer to 23, 24.
How dare you?
I thought that was hilarious. Lots of people didn't. Lots of people really didn't, and lots of people let me know about it and were like, how dare you, rah, rah, rah. That was, I was supposed to be finished at 21 and, I was like, sorry, dudes. But yeah, people get really invested. But yeah, don't yell at anyone, really.
Unless it's happy yelling.
Yay!
You are awesome!
How many trail half marathons are actually 21K? Like none of them?
I think Riverhead got pretty close. At some
it's always
point.
ish, right?
Ish,
Shaun Collins is always famous for being ish.
Ish, yeah. All right, buddies. Well, not so much a question, but please enjoy this bonus content that we have. It's really interesting, and thinking about Grassroots. I mean, you can't get. Although I'd say that backyards some of them are masquerading as Grassroots, but.
I tell you, Relaps didn't feel very Grassroots with its fancy live streams and DJs and incredible microphones. And I mean, they got some tech there, man.
They've got some tech, but that's all. That's just the MacDonald whānau need to go outside more, I guess. They're just tech fans.
They just spend a lot of time outside.
They take their tech with them. They're just super tech spun up.
Really
cool. I was really, and I'm poking fun, but in all seriousness, man, they're cool. And seeing that family out there getting after it, doing that stuff is beyond me. But look, we'll leave it there. Ellie's got to get to her massage.
Oh, yes.
Amazing that you managed to kind of, you're in another country, in another city, in another country, and you're like, could you massages Monday?
Desperate times, mate. I hurt my back this morning and I'm what might bring some kind of hope to my situation?
Some frisson of joy. I don't actually think we need to get in the shower this year, but we're back in the rat and possum infested motorbike shed, and who am I talking to?
Are you talking to Shaun Collins, the running beast, event director of the Riverhead Backyard Relaps Ultra? Oh, every time I have to think about the order of those words. I think we mucked up at the start of it.
What? How many years is this?
This is the 7th year. I only know that because we've got a trophy this year at last, this massive clock, and it's got a plaque for each year. And there's 6 on there at the moment, although one was COVID year, so no winner. And
there was another year that there was no winner.
The year that we don't talk about.
That year, yeah. That was mad, eh? We were both there for that. That was.
It was happy because we could pack up and leave, but it was very depressing because it all ended very quickly when. At the time, it was going for a record.
This is the first Backyard Ultramarathon in Aotearoa, the original, and now, I mean, how, off the top of your head, because I know that you were involved in a lot of them, you do the timing and sort of, you're really the co-master of the Backyard Ultramarathon scene in New Zealand, aren't you really? But how many is... It seems like there's a new one every second week.
There is. There's 14 in 2025, and more have been planned, I'm sure. But yeah, all spread around the country. Although most of them are in one little band of between Dunedin downwards. So there's lots down around there, all the way across to Arrowtown. And the North Island, there's still just the 3, nicely spread out: Whangarei, Auckland, Wellington.
So it's Kings, River Run and Relaps.
Oh, and River Run as well, yeah, Hawke's Bay. Yeah. And then MASH started first year this year. And so, I thought the numbers would be down because there's so many, but I think it's the South Island ones that might be getting affected by people who aren't travelling because they don't have to, because there's one in their local hood.
What have you noticed over 7 years? What is I guess we're past the shiny new thing, right? And it came into the consciousness with Katie Wright, Will Hayward, Maggie Couture. We were the first. I say we, first backyard in the world that a woman won, Katie Wright, and then went on to, smash out Katie Wright in that top 4. What's the continuing appeal of the backyard?
Well, you say about the flash in the pan, but I guess
Shiny
it's
new thing.
shiny new things lost, but 60% of today's field of 200 are doing their first backyard, which I was amazed at actually. So yeah, it's still attractive. I think word of mouth spreads around the uniqueness. I guess it's quite a different format. You have to think, and there's strategy for pacing and the whole shenanigans with your tent and food and water and sleep and all those things. So I think that's people are looking for something different, and this sort of fits that bill.
How do you manage how do you manage yourself at these events? Because I know you're a long time in the endurance game, but how do you manage, because it's potentially a very, very long weekend for you. How do you manage yourself?
I'm getting, as I get older, I'm getting a bit more picky with sleep, and even when I'm timing them around the country, the first night I usually stay up, and then second night get into some sleeps, but I'm trying to do more power napping in between, like from the get-go, so that you're still coherent as you get deep in. But yeah, eating lots, hydrated. It's like the runners really. I'm doing the same thing, keeping hydrated and fed and getting sleep when I can.
What's the percentage? What's the gender makeup?
I think we've got 15%, so it's still too low. But yeah, it's interesting. Lots of the women here are new women doing it. So it's just trying to grow that, and we've done some things this year with a separate toilet out on the course for them, women's only, and the toilets at the event centre, there's some women only ones so that they're not having to go into the messes that the men leave. But yeah, it's trying to get the word about the challenge for the women, that it's not just trying to go, be the winner, the last person standing. Everybody that comes here is trying to set a PB, and this is a great format for doing that.
It certainly is. And it's one of those things, isn't it? I was talking to our friend Ryan before, and we were thinking about what we've both done at a backyard, and I've only ever run one. And it's so easy to kind of, you can either, you push down your effort because there's people who do 30, 40 laps or whatever it is. Yeah. But it's very easy to let the laps get away from you and to actually go much further than you think you might. Why is that? How does that differ from a normal ultra?
So there's the coming back to your base every hour is a great thing for your psyche and for food and water and all of that. So you don't have to carry heaps. And the other big thing I think is the social. So there's a social atmosphere of the event centre, but out on the course, every hour you start with everybody that you started with at the last hour, instead of waving off to the elites or your faster people that have already taken off in a miler up the road and around wherever. You can be chatting with somebody who's probably going to end up winning, and then next lap talk with somebody that's right at the back. And so it's really social, and by talking, the laps sort of keep going. And out there you're actually forming some cool bonds, and some of them are tight and some of them are more just like everybody encouraging you. So later on, when people start finishing at 59 minutes 30, and they come in and everyone's waiting in the corral, the whole corral gets behind them to get them out on another lap. So yeah, there's lots of hard pressure and that soft, nice pressure from people out there.
That is really cool, and that environment, and it becomes it's both, on the one hand, it's kind of blood sport, because I've been I want to see you go out again, but it's also very encouraging. I want you to, it's a cool mix. How are you holding up? I mean, you've been known to run around in circles yourself. You got the assist at MASH.
Yes.
How was that?
It was cool. It was good to do another backyard. It had been a while because of timing, lots of them, and organising. So it was cool. The heat got to me there, but the legs were still feeling good. So I'm doing King's on King's birthday weekend, so looking forward to doing that in much cooler conditions, which suits me. But Daniel from Wellington, who won the MASH, is here. As we were running around down in Wellington, I offered him a free entry if he won. So it's going to be cool to see how he goes with other people pushing him a bit further, not little old me in the scorching heat dying.
How far did you get?
So I did 28, and so he did 29.
So that's 128. What's that? 190, 180?
Yeah, something like that.
And I guess for those who people are familiar, but we use these terms of art, what is the assist?
So the assist is the person that's second, pretty much. So when they finish, the last person standing has to stop. So they can only do one lap by themselves. And so really, when it's just two of you left, you want to work together so that you can keep getting more and more laps. Because, it stops as soon as the assist is done.
And what do we think this year? I mean, the limits just keep getting pushed. We saw at the Satellite World Champs, the world record was broken by the Belgians. New Zealand, again, we always seem to punch above our weight in this stuff, did really, really well. But I know that did Kalgoorlie, and then I guess heading into Bigs, there's been some pretty lofty goals. Like Sam Harvey said he wants to do 150 laps at Bigs and at Dead Cow, and you could go like, oh, whatever, dude. But also, I think that's awesome to verbalise it. It's awesome to put it out there. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I mean, I was there when Sam did his 101 laps, and you'd say, oh, shit, he couldn't go further than that. But these guys end up pushing each other, and it all comes down to the field. It talked about the evolution of backyards. So now talking about the top end, people are picking and choosing their races. So Dead Cow's a good race to do something massive like that, because you've got the top people coming to one spot. And I think in New Zealand it's going to be tricky to get high. At the Satellite Champs we had the best in New Zealand there, 15-person team, and they were the best 15 backyarders in New Zealand. So in these events around the country, it's hard because people are picking and choosing now, and even the top 15, which are old crusty buggers and lasses, and experience, are now like not doing a backyard every 2 months, or doing every backyard they can do because they love it. They're picking and choosing. So actually, I'm in the team at the moment. I'll just hang back this year and wait for next year in the qualification for the silver tickets, or see how the team looks after a year of backyarding. If I'm still in it, then I've won, and otherwise I'll do a race next year and get back in.
How do you, I mean, it's quite a challenging thing to train for, because you can't train, I guess, I mean, there are some you get down to it like aerobic capability, efficiency, leg speed, all that stuff, but how do you train for something like this?
Yeah, I think most of the people, they've just got their big base that they're of races or years of experience, and you're not really training for long distance. You're assuming the head's going to do most of the work. So you're relying on, you're training for a mile or whatever, and that's enough to get you in a backyard. You might do some speed in that to get the running economy, so that you can get around a loop in a good, comfortable pace. But lots of people are slowing their laps down rather than going fast. So lots of people out there are forcing themselves to do a 55 minutes because they don't want to be sitting in the chair for the rest of the hour. So they're actually going slower. So it's harder they've got more time on their feet than they used to. And you see at the Sat Champs people like Carl Reid, who's like a natural speedster, he couldn't slow down. And in the end, that was to his detriment, because all these other guys are doing like 55-minute laps and being comfortable, more than comfortable.
Which is interesting, isn't it? Because if you think about 100K, and I remember Ash Putty, who in the first year, and not to, I'm not naming him to make it, but I remember looking at it, and he had run, I think, because he tapped out, I think, 109 kilometres, and he'd run 240 minutes more than the person who, but I guess now we went, ooh, that's a long way, and he's a machine, the best of them, but so we're saying now that it's actually the established wisdom is actually more time on feet. If you're efficient in your economy, you get less rest, but you can sort of rest while you're going.
Yes, yeah, that's it. And yeah, at the end of some of these now, the difference of the time on feet or the running time between the first running time and the last can be like hours. And you look at it thinking, oh, so what's the other person been doing that's run fast? And they're just like sitting around. I guess sleep comes into it later, so they're being efficient by having sleep time. But yeah, it's a lot less time on the feet. And I've lost my train of thought. Yes, definitely.
We can edit that out in post. We are pushing the limit. I'm not sure they'll be heading back quite soon, but they're out on their fourth lap now. Predictions? You got any thoughts?
No, it's always hard to tell on these things. I mean, there's 7 people that have done over 30 laps.
200K?
Yeah. They can come, and then there's always the people that have hung around the 24 that know they can do that and want to keep going to push their limits. And then there's the surprises that come from nowhere, like Katie Wright in the first year. And,
dark horses.
We could be laughing at them and how they look on the or not that we laugh at people, but we could be looking at them thinking, oh, no way, they've got a couple more laps, and they just keep going and going and going. I know Dan at MASH was very quiet and nobody knew him, and he came from nowhere, and I knew he was going to be a contender when he came past me at about 15 laps and quietly said, he was very quiet, but we'd had a little chat a couple of laps before, but he snuck up next to me, we were just jogging, and he said, when does this get hard? And then he carried on running past me. I thought, you cheeky little. And yeah, he was loving it, into the mind of everybody. But you can't pick a winner. There's one guy from Canada actually who has done 32 laps back at. He's done a few backyards in Canada. He's just finished the TA, and he walked from downtown Auckland out to the venue here yesterday, and he's got this tiny little his TA like ultralight tent that he's set up in. He didn't have a chair, so we've lent him a chair, and he just wants to get another backyard in another country done.
He walked here from downtown. I mean, oh God, how would he have done it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He did say he managed to score a ride somehow for the last 10K. Like, how do you get a ride to here?
Well, I mean, Riverhead, you could get a ride out. It doesn't want to go to Arima, but that's massive. That's and it's the backyard. It attracts all sorts. I'm looking forward. I hope there's always someone who goes, I've only ever run a half marathon. They end up doing like 100K. Yeah. Look of utter shock on their faces.
There's a cool group, the Middleway Sea Slugs, and they started off like that. The lads all done like half marathons and that, and then over the years, and they've been at every relapse, they're just upping and upping, and one of them said that they reckon Damien's going to take it out, like he's here, he wants to be here till the end this time. And just every year they creep up another, break their PB. It's awesome.
It is awesome, right? We better let you get back to it. I would encourage anyone who hasn't been to a backyard, and if you're kind of nervous about it or worried about it, like Relaps is a really good place to start, and the atmosphere is incredible, and I have massive FOMO.
Yeah, awesome.
Church Radio.
Getting the band back together. Who am I talking to?
House.
And Crossbow. His&Hers events at Riverhead Relaps. I mean, you're everywhere, really. I was going to say Riverhead Rampage, you're at Rage Against Riverhead, Blue Lake, everywhere with your kit, but we're not here to talk about your amazing setups. We're here to talk about something very exciting. What have you got planned for middle of the year?
Hey Matt, good to see you in the traps. We've been working hard at releasing something. I think people know it's coming. So Tuesday we'll be releasing Northland 100. It's just super exciting, and Chris will probably tell you the location a bit better than I will. He's been in there recently.
So it's a 100-mile race in Northland.
100 miles.
Fantastic. I think well deserved. The North Island has been, we have Tarawera, but underserved in terms of 100 miles, eh? So where is it?
We're going to run it in Glenbervie Forest. So it's not your traditional point-to-point miler. It's a 40k loop in the forest, staying within the forest. So it's going to be a challenging miler, we feel. It's just over 4,000 metres of vert in it. We're pretty excited, man. Like I said, there's Tarawera and Rotorua, and then Fault Line, Wellington, and we just wanted to bring, something of that distance, a bit further north, and we're pretty stoked, man. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? Northland's underserved. It feels like the sleeping giant. There's so much, where you guys live, and it's so much amazing trails, scenery, and also what it could bring to the Northland economy. Were those all factors for you?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And we've talked about it before, and it's pretty well known that we wanted to bring trail running and ultra running to Northland, and that's always been our goal. So to be able to do it, we looked, we sound like we bang on, but we've looked to try and find a location, and then we thought, we went and did Naseby last year, and we sort of took a bit of a model off that, and we can do something there in Glenbervie. So we've got the miler, and then the 100k, and we've got an 80k, and we've got the 55k. Yeah.
Sick. What date?
19th of July. Yeah.
You're going to have a busy couple of months because you got that other little race that you do.
Oh yeah, just a couple of months. Kings, that's we've just hit the same entries that we got for the whole race yesterday, I think, for last year. So we're excited. I think we'll sell that out soon. Especially following Riverhead, we tend to pick up some entries off the back end of that. But the Northland 100, we're super excited. While we bring it to Northland itself, we're hoping to reach out and bring everyone from across the motu up. So, we're really pumped, eh?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped just thinking about it, because it's that thing of there is an absolute rivalry between the North and the South Island, and it's that thing. It's true though, right? Because they've got all the mountains and they've got all, and it's like, there's nothing up here, or your destination runners or whatever. But it's its own thing. It's so different. But why can't it be? Why can't it be even better?
Yeah. Yeah, and hey, look, like we've gone to all the runs in New Zealand, and we've seen what people love and what they're hunting, and so we think that we can bring that all together. Like, you're going to get your buckle when you do the miler. Yeah. We're trying to think about around the 100k and things like that, what we can give you guys that come up and do it. But Tent City is going to be a vibe, and it's going to be live streamed, and it's going to be like a full-on reality, like communal couches. And now I'm making it up. No.
You got to manifest it, right?
Yeah, exactly right. No, we're going to make it a really cool time for everybody involved, and it's not going to be like extraordinary pricing, and it's not going to be too grassroots, but you're going to feel like you're getting the challenge, and you're going to see everyone every 4 laps if you do the miler. There's going to be aid stations out there. We're going to have cameras everywhere. It's going to be cool.
That sounds amazing. And look, Kings, you must be super excited because, the little race that could, new kid on the block, and then all of a sudden you've got the New Zealand record, hey?
Yeah, we lost that at Satellite Champs in October.
Different.
Yeah, different, yeah. Yeah, no, I think actually a couple of people, I catch the conversations, they're already talking that they might break the record again this next time. We've got some contenders, and you just don't know who's going to turn up, but we're just enjoying bringing it to the community and seeing people never having done one do one for the first time and that sort of thing. So And
while we're here, we're looking, 12, 14, so that's, what are they on there?
Out on 28.
28th lap. There's 6 left. Any predictions, Chris?
Oh, don't ask me that, Matt. That's a loaded question.
Well, no. Okay.
Oh,
So
so
none of them look like they're. We came out here thinking, because we always like to help pack down, Rebecca and I, and we're like, we'll come out, we'll get a sense of it. I can't see any of these boys slowing down.
Nah, they're looking good. Like they are. Honestly, I just watched them run out before, and they're looking solid. So yeah, we could be for a while, I reckon. It's they was saying the track's dried up a little bit out there after the torrential downpour they got last night here, so it's making it a little bit easier. And you know, a local lad, Alex Nicholson, out there, which is pretty cool from Whangarei. He ran Kings last year, and so I reckon it's anyone's, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm super stoked, Craig Tour. I mean, I was here that year. I was on the mic when bloody Sam Harvey tried a reverse Bisley mind game, and they buggered it up, and both of them timed out. Yeah. And you know, 2 very quality people, and Craig's had a couple of years and now he's back, so I'm excited about that, but we'll see how it goes. What's your next, I mean, you were all over the country, as you said, with your setups. What's your next race you're in?
The race that we're in?
Like at?
Well, we're going to have Paul Maxwell attend for us. He's our South Island rep.
Nice.
He's going to be doing the Carousel Backyard for us, and then the Best Dam Backyard in May. Other than that, what will we be attending? Kings? It'll be Kings, and that's sold out for the tents. So, yeah. And after that, it's Crazies.
Yeah, pick.
Dead Cow. Oh, we're going, the Aussie cohort. Yeah, sold out for that too. We're heading Australia. That's going to be neat.
That's awesome. I'm so stoked for you guys, and it's lovely to see you, and I'm going to turn this stupid thing off soon. And but yeah, where else would you rather be? I'm here with the returning champion,
Meg Collins.
Last time we spoke was after Blue Lake 24 hours. First time you'd run 100k. You've been here at Relaps a couple of times. Well, you grew up around events. What have you just knocked off?
I just got a new PB of 19 laps, which is about 127 kilometres.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm happy, but I've been better physically.
Did that hurt more than the first time you ran 100k?
I don't remember. I think I was more delirious when I spoke to you then, so maybe less.
When we were running together that last time at Blue Lake, you were tripping balls. Remember, you were hallucinating goldfish in the ponds and stuff. So probably mentally better?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you? We talk about this a lot in running and people fitting stuff in. I mean, you are 20 years old, yeah?
Yeah.
And you've got a lot on. I mean, you've knocked off a goal of yours for a while. I mean, how are you balancing your study and running?
Running is what I enjoy, much to the surprise of my peers. They do not understand. But it's where I relax and I genuinely have fun doing it. And so I make time for it because it's what fuels me to then be able to study.
Yeah. What was the sense of accomplishment finally, I mean, not finally, but getting into med school? What was that like?
It was so, I honestly didn't believe it. I thought I was dreaming for days. I checked the email so many times. Every time I woke up, I would check again because I was like, maybe that was all a dream. But it's honestly such, I'm so grateful to have been chosen and have this opportunity.
That's so cool. Have you got anything else? This is the classic question. You got anything else lined up for the year?
I've got a couple races. I'm entered in Faultline 50k next month and then Tekapo in September. But I don't really have any goals for those. They're just for fun.
It's a cute little 50k.
Yeah, as you do. But no, I haven't. I decided to have a quieter year with running this year and try to do more adventures and fun stuff than events, and not that they're not fun, but then events and races, and try to do lots of stuff with friends. And yeah.
I mean, you're also a Tailwind trailblazer. What's that? I mean, I know for trying to do social media for the podcast badly, that takes up a chunk of time too, right? How do you find that stressful, having to kind of when you run sort of not well, you are. You're an ambassador. You're advertising. Is that stressful at all?
It's just another layer of thought to it, but like, I always have Tailwind with me anyway, and the Tailwind Trailblazer shirt is one of my favorite running shirts. So I'm quite happy to wear it, and then I just end up having pictures that go up. But it's such a blessing to be part of that community. It's some amazing runners and people and other sports people, and they've Mark and Phoebe foster such a great group of us. It's a great opportunity to be a part of. I would take any little stress of having to think about it to be a part of it.
They're good human beings. What's your code?
MEGC15. Get 15% off at the Tailwind store.
I'll let you get some rest.
Church Radio.
No news is good news. Who am I speaking to?
My name's Alex MacDonald. I'm Chris MacDonald's daughter. You'll know me from Runners with Beards or any of the emceeing I do for the Backyard Ultras here.
That's what I want to talk to you about. You are a refreshing voice in the ultra running scene. It's your birthday soon, and you're going to be how old?
18. Yeah, so give me 10 hours or so, and I'll be legal adult.
There we go. How on earth did you get roped into commentating a bunch of generally middle-aged dudes running around a wooded field for hours and hours?
Yeah, it was a bit of an accident, honestly. I've been following my dad around doing these for the last 5 or 6 years. We started out Relaps many years ago. But at some point, I was just kind of handed a microphone to hold for a minute, and then something exciting happened, and I said something and just never gave the microphone back.
Fantastic. You must be, so I can think of, it's, so obviously I work with Ali, she's part of the podcast, she's very well known for her commentating in the Southern Hemisphere, and it is a space where I think Ali's a good start, but women sorely underrepresented. What hopes do you have for the future of sort of women in trail running media as having a voice?
Yeah, one thing that's actually kind of been on my mind this weekend that I was having a good chat about is a lot of these events have a Last Woman Standing award, which in theory is a great idea. You know, you celebrate the women who kind of feel a bit overwhelmed by the underpopulation here. And it's a good idea, again, in theory. But the thing we've been talking about this weekend is that it tends to polarize the two different groups that we have. And there's been a lot of opinions about kind of whether there's actually, once you get to these 40-hour, 50-hour marks, whether there's actually a biological difference between what the men and the women can do. And so there's been a bit of a debate this weekend about, I don't know whether it's patronizing or not to have like a separate award just for the women. But it's been a big debate in the running scene. Obviously, we've got that new women's only Backyard Ultra. But yeah, I think I guess I'd like to see a little less of the separation, even if it means the award stays around or anything. It's always a pity to kind of look around and you see a couple of women chatting, a couple of men chatting, and they just kind of never cross paths. Because I think everyone's got so much to learn from each other, and I just think, I don't know, if we keep separating the groups, it's never really going to progress as much as we can.
I mean, you guys are the future, right? I guess this is well, I hope so too. It's an interesting thing. I mean, you're right. I wonder, though, if we set everything, because it's not just, if you think about, I guess it's not just that thing about, like, is a man and a woman after 50 hours biologically the same? I mean, clearly today you could say that, you could make the point that, yeah, it actually is true because there's no women left. It's just dudes. But on the other hand, you know, we've had women go far more than this too. But it's I guess is it that thing that it's everything else surrounding the event as well as the event? Yeah,
it is tricky. We've had, I think the first year that Relaps was won, we had a woman win.
Katie Wright,
that's the
first woman in the world.
Yeah, pretty wicked. So obviously it is possible for the women to be up there with the men. But yeah, no, it's just it continues to be a bit tricky because you want to be as fair as possible and give everybody the celebration that they deserve for, you know, being out here and doing these incredible things, especially for the women who maybe feel a little less welcome or a little intimidated by the large male population. But it is just tricky finding a balance between fairness and celebrating everybody and trying to encourage everyone to come up to that same level.
You mean equity versus equality?
Yeah, the never-ending debate.
As I'd like to see dudes with more shirts on. Where do you stand on that argument?
I think everybody should be shirts off. I think we just
get it out there.
Absolutely.
Dump them out.
I think so. Equality. Everybody just shirts off. Okay. Everybody needs a good tan.
It's a controversial opinion from Alex MacDonald, not necessarily shared by Dirt Church Radio or the affiliates of Riverhead Relaps. How much sleep have you had?
4 hours. I got a good sleep last night because it got pretty quiet at about 2, 3 in the morning after we had a bunch of DNFs at 12, bunch at 15, and then you kind of lose a couple of milestones, and so everyone kind of locks in for a couple hours. So yeah, I got a few good hours this morning, and then I was up again for the 24 lap.
Sick. All right. And next, are you got any more backyards on your list this year to commentate at?
I do, but unfortunately it's going to be a while before you see me again. I am off to the US in May to go do some camp counseling. I'm going to be a circus coach. It'll be pretty cool. But yeah, you won't see me again until probably Arrowtown.
Which is when?
I want to say November. I know it's the weekend after the Queenstown Marathon.
That's awesome. Well, look, Alexa, it's great to hear your voice. It's great to have you on the podcast. It's great to hear your voice at these things. And it's hopefully, it's that thing of it's a good starting point and a point of growth. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, Dirt Church Radio, AidStation Podcast. I'm Matt Raymond.
I'm Ali Pottinger.
And I'm Andrew McDowell.
Stay tuned for the regular DCR podcast over the upcoming weeks. We've got some super cool guests and shows lined up for you. Mā te wā.